Welcome, everybody, to SOS Small Business Success Podcast. I'm glad to have you here today. I'm your host, Bonnie Bonadeo, and boy, I just came off of some great trips over the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited to share with you some things that I've learned, and as always, looking at the success anchors that are available to us to grow our business. Now, my main focus has been leadership now for the last couple of months. Part of that is because I'm introducing a program called the Ultimate Leaders Course. It is a certification for you to be an emotionally intelligent leader, a certified emotionally intelligent leader. So I'm ready for that to happen for you because I'm concerned. My concern is most of us do not enjoy leading people. I'm concerned because even when we think we're doing the right thing, we may not be and or question what we're doing. So we stop short of fulfilling a purposeful and impactful leadership conversation. And I'm going to share with you kind of a weird scenario that happened at the last show that I was at that brought something to my attention and created a learning opportunity for me as well. So our session today, we are in season 4, episode 127, is called Leading the Crew. And you guys, I want you to understand that leadership, communication, speaking, and branding, they're all like in a marriage together. They're a family. So if you're communicating effectively, you're speaking with clarity, you understand who you are and what your business is, then it's really easy to kind of fall into that higher level of a leadership expectation. People won't question why you're saying the things you are or why you've developed things the way that you have. There's going to be more clarity in that. So as a speaker, coach, author, and podcaster, I got to tell you that the connection to communication is going to be your greatest asset. And investing in being a good leader is going to be your key to success, right? It's your anchor for success. So we're still in this operations category here. But again, leadership falls into sales, falls into mindset, falls into marketing, and falls into education. All of it is critical for this to be able to happen. All right. So what comes first? This is kind of like the causality dilemma, right? So you know how people say, did the chicken or the egg come first, right? Well, we have to be able to look at this scenario in that same fashion. Leading people, managing systems and policy. So at what point are you just telling people what to do? And at what point have you created a system and a policy that sets boundaries and guidelines for people to know where they sit within the framework of your expectations as a business leader? And I had the chance to be able to see Win Claybaugh this weekend at the Salon Training Pennsylvania show. I haven't seen him in many years, but it's always good to hear from him. You know, he has a book that's Be Nice or Else. Well, here's my take on that. Lead or else. Okay? Failure is going to be your only option if you're not leading. And here again, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news here. Every problem that you have within your business has a leadership component to it that you're either doing well or not doing well. And there is very little gray area in that. So we're going to talk about these supposed problems that are happening. This is what I heard. So when I went in, I had the opportunity to not only educate at this show, but I had the opportunity to sit in other people's classrooms and hear the dialogues that they're sharing. And here's what came up in, a few different classrooms here. So people were concerned about no-shows and cancellations. People were concerned about their team taking time off or marking off. So in other words, they were booked for that day, but they weren't booked with a client, so then they were just marking themselves off. Owners were concerned about that the team wanted reduced hours. In other words, nobody's working 40 hours a week anymore, or very few. Most people are kind of falling in a 25 to 35 hour week. And then what's happening is that's not covering the operational hours of the business. They don't have enough staff. They don't have enough staff covering the hours. And so it's posing a problem for businesses. Of course, that reduced hour portion. Getting people to work, that was a very general statement, but getting people to work, all right? Staying motivated, managing personalities, and then my all-time favorite, charging your worth. I'm going to do a whole podcast on that one there. So stand by. Okay, now let's go back and look at the problems here a little bit. No-shows and cancellations. That is a leadership operation that can be easily solved. Now, there are very distinct ways of doing this, and there are very casual ways of doing this. You have to decide where your business is at this point to be able to determine that. Our business is well into a 25 plus year history, very established clientele. So for us to make a significant change in a no-show or cancellation policy, and here would be an example of that, everybody has to place a credit card down in order for an appointment to be booked, would be devastating to our business structure. Okay, that is not what we want to do. Now, if you're just starting out and you have concerns about no-shows and cancellations, that might be a policy that you put in place as a starting point. In other words, that is going to be a blanket policy that you're putting in place. Instead, you have to be able to look at, why is this happening? And I can tell you, majority of the time, more than 50% of the time, it's because you don't have confirmation set up. So the opposite of no-shows and cancellations is proper confirmations. So if you don't have a clean system set up for confirmations, then you're going to have a higher rate of no-shows and cancellations. That's all there is to it. Every salon software out here has a confirmation application to it that can easily solve this. Now, there are people that are culprits, okay? So there are people that are making this a usual form of booking an appointment and then canceling and rescheduling or no showing at all. Those are repeat offenders, and we have a policy set up for repeat offenders. So maybe that's a start. Maybe you set up a policy for repeat offenders, but all of this, you guys, is a leadership element. If you are not leading this part of your business, you are going to continue to have no-shows and cancellations. So figure out what your policy and system is, okay? And lead it with your team. Lead it with your clients. And that means communicating it out and having clarity around it, that it's so clear that people understand when they abuse it or fall outside of the lines of what it is, there is a penalty attached to it. Okay? Lead. That's a leadership piece. All right, let's take taking time off and marking off. We know that the terms freedom, flexibility, and financial opportunities is what this particular younger generation, so the millennials, the Gen Zs, this is what they're saying. This is what they want: freedom, flexibility, and financial opportunities. So if they're taking time off, are they getting freedom? Yes. Is it too much flexibility for your business to sustain? Maybe. Are they getting financial opportunities? Probably not. So you have to determine then what's going to allow them to have the success that they're looking for. Is it time off and they don't need to be working, they don't need to be making a certain amount of income? Or do they need to be making a certain amount of income in order to live and survive, and taking time off is impacting that? Okay, so you're always going back to their initiatives, their lifestyle, their goals and aspirations. And when you bring it that far out, then you're having a leadership conversation with your team. If you're just saying you can't take any time off, you don't have any more time to take off, and especially if we're in a commissioned, structured environment, because if they're taking time off, they're not getting paid, all right? But if they're taking time off, you're also not making money as an owner, or are they? So there is some opportunities to that. Marking off within a day. If there is marking off within a day because there's not clients on the books, that may be an opportunity to be able to look at why are there not clients on their books? Are they not rebooking? Is it a KPI issue? They're not rebooking. The confirmations are not going out. You don't have an automated or an AI system that helps produce chatbot, reach AI, those type of things that help bring people into your books. Maybe you don't have online booking set up. So there's 1,000 areas over here. So them marking off is not as much of the problem as why are they not busy to begin with? That's a leadership issue. That's something that you as a leader need to look at. If you have certain people that are not booked, or certain people that are scarcely booked or sporadically booked, then you might want to take a closer look at why that's happening. And I promise you, it's probably in they are not rebooking category of a KPI. They might have limited time on their schedule, and they can't get enough clients in. They might have a schedule where maybe they're got too much haircuts in, back to back versus being able to offer an opportunity of a color, and they have holes in their books. You have to be able to kind of dissect this, look a little closer at it and dissect it, all right? Getting people to work. Well, what's your culture? What's your environment? What type of leader are you? What's your brand look like? What are you doing that's helping them to be able to reach their goals? How often are you meeting with them to be able to sit down and discuss their life goals and what the bigger picture is in this? This is what we call our journeys in here. So we don't have issue with people getting to work. Now, are there more people are we in a situation where it's like, oh, they have a little sniffle or they're not feeling so good, so they just kind of call in sick? We have this post-COVID approach to, well, if I'm sick, I can't go into work because I'm going to get everybody else sick type of thing. And so there's some variables in that, but there is opportunities. If people feel like they're in the right environment and it's comfortable, they will want to be there, all right? Staying motivated, number 5. I'm not a big fan of the word motivation. I see motivation as an external expectation that we put on ourselves and we put on others to motivate us. So I want you to shift that stay motivated to staying inspired. What is not inspiring them? When people showed up to this show that I was at, like Data Driven show a couple weeks ago, PA show this past weekend, when people showed up, they had an array of educational opportunities, an enormous amount of learning that could be had. And that's inspiring. So if you can't get people out to shows or events, what can you do internally within your business to be able to keep them inspired? What can you do as a leader to inspire your team? What can your team do to inspire each other? Look at that, because then that's a cultural thing. Again, we're going back to leadership. Managing personalities, total leadership piece here. Now, I know there's a big conversation going on, and there has been for many years in our industry, that we are employing multiple generations and how difficult it is to manage different generations. And I'm going to tell you, I don't believe that. What I believe is that you don't have the leadership skills to be able to communicate effectively, no matter whether they are Gen Z or a boomer or anything in between. Because I want you to think about effective communication skills. If you have a 5-year-old child, you're going to communicate them in a certain way to learn certain things. Yes, right? Agreed. If you have a younger person at your front desk and you're training them, you're going to communicate to them in a certain way. Your communication skills and the clarity of your communication is far more important than looking at the different age gaps, groups, or personalities. Everybody has a different personality. So you have to be the leader that understands, I'm going to connect with you, and I have something for this, you guys. I have answers to all of these solutions here, and it starts with leadership. All right. And then number 7, charging your worth. I hate that expression. I don't know why I hate it. I rarely say I hate something like this, but I got to tell you, I hate this expression. And the one reason why I hate it so much is because it's very selfish. Me charging my worth is saying that there's nobody else involved in it, okay? In other words, if you are charging what you should be charging, it's because somebody desires to want to pay what you're offering, okay? Pay for that transaction. What value are you bringing to this? What are you doing in order to capture that opportunity to charge the appropriate amount, okay? Your worth is not as valuable as someone willing to pay what you're offering, okay? And I think the worth word is just, I don't know. I got to think more on this, but I swear I'm going to do a whole podcast on this anyway. I want you to think about it in a different term, and then I'll kind of just do a quick analogy of this and leave it at that. I want you to brand your currency. Okay, brand your currency. And I want you to think about branding your currency in, say, energy. What energy are you putting into this exchange with a client, with a team, within your community, all right? What education have you invested in that allows your worth to rise? What exchanges are on your menu? In other words, is there clarity on your menu as to what you're offering so that people are willing to pay for it? I want you to think about online purchasing. If I'm going on to Amazon and I'm looking for a particular item, there could be 5 or 6 different items that show up, right? And so I'm thinking, oh gosh, I didn't know there were that many choices of this particular item. So I go into the description, I'm determining whether it's the right one for me. I'm also then going into reviews and being able to see what are other people saying about these. And then I'm looking at the price and I'm going, based on what I need this for, what am I willing to spend on it? So I have a picture, I have a description, I have reviews, I have all of those things that are building that exchange, that transactional exchange for someone to make a decision or a choice. I want you to think about how clear your exchange is for someone to go, say, on your website, if you even have a website, and to be able to pick and choose the items they want and then to be able to make those bookable online. And if you're not doing that, it's a leadership issue. Okay, it's a leadership issue. Ease of being able to have access to you. If you're in this position where you're still doing a very manual process and you're not using automation for bookings, you're expecting people to text you to book an appointment, you're going back and forth on text, how easeful is that for them first? Okay, because remember, they're the ones giving you the money. They're the ones providing you this currency, right? Your worth. How easeful is it for them? And then you have to look at how easeful is it for you. And if it's not an easeful process, it's a leadership issue. And then, of course, exposure. How much exposure are you getting for people to see what your worth is, for people to see your brand of currency or your currency brand? Maybe that's a better way to put it. Your currency brand, okay? All right. That's all I'm going to say about that. I swear I'm doing a whole podcast on that because I am sick of hearing that statement. So leadership, you guys, is the most critical skill that you can invest in. And here's some language out there that happens all the time that I hear. Speed of the leader, speed of the team. Fish rots from the head first. People don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad leaders. If you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader. Go sell ice cream. All right, and I'm not bossy, I have leadership skills. Those are kind of like those fun little memes that are out there for that. But I was in my classroom, and my classroom was about effective communications, right? And so I gave the audience an opportunity to be able to choose a particular category that we were going to role play in. And one of the audience members chose a category. And in choosing the category, I thought, oh, this is a tougher one. This was a tougher one. And then what I realized, and it was kind of like people taking time off. And so the first thing I asked is, What is your systems and policies around people taking time off? I don't have any. Okay, well then how are you going to have a leadership conversation on this? There's no boundaries. There's nothing to set an expectation for somebody. So if they're taking too much time off and you don't have a guideline set around it, then you have no leadership to support it. You can't lead that system. You can't manage that policy. So I said, well, that if somebody wants to share with me what their policy is, then we can start with the conversation. Otherwise, what I'm going to say is that you have to have guidelines in place of your expectations for your employees in order for this to even be a leadership conversation. You have nowhere to go unless you have guidelines and expectations set up around it, all right? So we ended up kind of like taking it, but it made me realize that what people expect from leadership is just to be able to have a conversation when somebody's doing something they don't like or something wrong. And instead, what they don't have is the ability to kind of framework it within what the policies already are. I can have very easy conversations with my team because I have systems and guidelines set up to that they know where they stand. Sometimes those conversations are still a little hard because if somebody's taking a lot of time off from being sick, all I can do is let them know the impact that it's having on them, their financial status, the impact that it's having on our front desk, having to constantly call clients and reschedule, the impact that it has on the clients not being able to get in when they want or need to get in. I can share the impact it has, and then you get to make a decision around that. I can't change the fact that if you're unwell, that you can't be in. But I can let you know how that's impacting everything and look from a perspective of, do we need to shift your schedule a little bit? Do you need more time off? Do you need to maybe take some time off to be well and then come back in at another thing? Do you need certain days off for appointments with doctors? I can look at those things, but that's managing systems, managing expectations, and managing policies. My leadership conversation is first and foremost with them, person to person, human to human. All right? Does that make sense? Oh, I got fired up today, you guys. But I did just come off of a show, and, I think I know what I'm talking about sometimes, and I always learn new things to be able to talk about when I come off of these. Here's the program I want you to look at with serious intent, all right? It's the Ultimate Leaders Course. It's set up as kind of like 12 weeks or 3 months, but it's not like every week you're having to do something. There is a front end part of it. There is a middle virtual self-paced part of it. There is a back end one-on-one part of it with me to be able to lock in and secure the learning that you got. There's a certification in this. So once you complete it and you pass it, you are a certified emotional intelligent leader. And what I'm going to tell you is that you are going to be 100 times more effective in your business as a leader than you were before. Okay? I promise you that, right? So it's all about creating you as a confident leader. And the good portion of it is looking at emotional awareness. How aware are you in the situations that are coming up as a leader? Do you have policies and systems around it? If not, you need to create those. Managing it, connecting with other people, and then, of course, leading the human element of us as peoples. Now, this program for a certification, you guys, is very reasonable. Typically, certifications that I get involved in start at $5,000 and up. This one here is 2 payments of $999 or $1,950 if you want to pay in full. All right, 2 payments of $999 or $1,950 if you want to pay in full. You can go to sosleadershipacademy.com, find out more. sosleadershipacademy.com, find out more. Now, here's some things I got coming up. You're going to hear all about it more. If you're going to be at Premier Show in Orlando, June 1 through 3, oh my gosh, I'm doing a salon owner boot camp. So if you're a salon owner, get into the boot camp. It's going to be fantastic. There's various speakers. I am delighted to be one of them. And then I'm also doing another class on the SOS on salon growth. And we're going to talk about a lot of what I talk about in my podcast, the 5 anchors for success. Then at the end of June, to 22nd through the 24th, I will be at IBS in Las Vegas. I'm going to be talking about speaking, branding, and leading, all that good stuff that you hear from me. June 17th is a webinar masterclass, Leading with Heart and Edge. This is the class I want you to go into. This is the one that is going to be Very important for you to hear. And July 8th through the 13th, I'm going to be doing a leadership challenge. It's going to be 5 days, 5 strategies for ultimate leadership potential. They're 30-minute segments at the most. You're going to learn it. You're going to learn a skill. You're going to figure out how to apply it that particular day or within that week. And you're going to keep learning one skill for 5 days. And then, of course, on August 5th is when the Ultimate Leaders course launches. This is that 12-week leadership program to get you certified as an emotional intelligent leader. I hope you'll join me. I hope you want to find out more. Here is if you're watching this on YouTube, here's the QR codes in front of you to sign up for these programs. If you're just listening to me on my podcast, here's the webinar, Leading with Heart and Edge, SOSLeadMasterclass.com, SOSLeadMasterclass.com, the SOS Leadership Challenge, that is in July, the 5 days, 30 minutes, 5 EI skills, SOSLeadershipChallenge.com, SOSLeadershipChallenge.com. And then, of course, the Ultimate Leaders course, you're going to go to SOSLeadershipAcademy.com. Thank you. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate you guys. I'm looking forward to offering a whole lot more in this, and I promise you it will make a difference in your business. Also, check out my leadership blogs at my website, bonniebonadeo.com, and then you just click the blog link, and you'll be able to see some leadership blogs that might help you out as a starting point as well. Thanks for being here. See you next time.